sounds mod check. Oh no. So Windows Update broke all of my sound devices, and I don't actually know why it does that literally every time it updates, which is what I spent the last 10 minutes figuring out, was just to get how my one PC audio to the other PC again. And then now I think it broke. I want to say I think it broke the alerts. And I don't know how to fix that. So I think there's just no alert sounds today, but what can you do, boys? When will you learn, streamer? But Windows has to update, dude. You gotta let it do its thing. Honestly, Chan, I think there's something special about logging on after a Windows update and seeing if any of my audio devices work at all. Like, is it really Windows if I don't update and shit goes wrong? You wake up and it's a surprise. Like, you just don't know. It's like opening up a loot box for your PC. It's just a surprise mechanic. Will there be gaming today? Possibly, possibly. High chances. Forecast is currently extremely high probability of gaming. Neon white question mark. What does that mean? What is neon white? Lightning fast FPS. One sec. I mean, it does look kind of cool. I think it looks pretty cool. Wait. There's a single player speedrunning FPS where you sacrifice your guns for godlike parkour moves. This reminds me a little bit of, I mean, there's a few games that have come out like this recently. Oh god, it's weird because of the card system though. I don't, so does that mean you just have like a limited amount of ammo? Wait, what is happening? What was that, dude?
God's judgment has nothing to do with it.
Huh. Alright. Was there just like a random dating simulator in the background of this video? But why? It is also a dating sim? No, it's not. There's no way. It doesn't make sense. It's the game? Holy shit. I mean, it's kind of cool actually in its own weird way. Maybe he'll resume Stick It. I wonder if Stick It actually got popular, chat. It was a very, very hardcore indie game. It still only has 20 reviews, so never mind. It hasn't like popped off, but I think someday it will. This was just too hard for the normal casual pleb like me, but it was really, really cool. I still think this is a very cool game. And for some reason now it just like broke the Steam player. Let me refresh. But yeah, it's awesome. Basically, you just stick to walls for a little bit and you throw yourself around. And it's a climbing game. And it goes very, 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 very high. And it is obscenely difficult. I think it's probably a little bit too difficult for most to really get into it, but it's super cool. Will you try out Neon White speedrunning deck building FPS? I mean, why have I been asked about this game by 3 people in the last like minute? Are you guys devs? What's going on here? Also, chat, we have this. The Evil West exclusive extended gameplay trailer. Apparently it's 10 minutes long, so I do want to watch this. And then we also have 2 different interviews that came out after I logged off. One was... It looks like both games, or both interviews happened after. This one's a fucking beefy interview, by the way. This is an interview with Aaron Keller. It was uploaded at 6:45 p.m. on June 16th, which was after I went offline. Look at the length of this interview. This is a super in-depth interview. So I'll probably end up reading this. Did I see any of the extended Darktide gameplay videos? I saw one, but it wasn't very long. The piece I watched wasn't super long, but it looked cool. And then this one is, I think, much shorter, but it was just like it had a couple pieces of info that I saw. Oh yeah, and then we also have Evil West gameplay trailer from I mean, it says IGN Summer of Gaming. I don't even remember this or not, but I still want to watch it. I don't know if there's anything else in the gaming world that I missed in the last day that's that big. There's 1 hour Darktide gameplay. What the fuck? Okay, I did not see that. I saw like a 5-minute one. I mean, Darktide, isn't it just going to be Vermintide but with guns in a different setting? And it's just going to be like an improved Vermintide. Vermintide was actually really cool. I've actually started to play a little bit of Vermintide in the last like couple days again. It was a fun game. Like, it's still gonna have, I assume it's still gonna have all the normal stuff. 1,700 hours in the game. I love it. Darktide is a bit faster paced as well, I think. Streamer, why don't you ever stream WoW? Because WoW is fucking boring. WoW is my chill game. I log on and I'm not logging on to WoW for like 3 weeks. WoW is a very boring game to watch, and then also the only thing I've done in WoW in the last like 2 or 3 months was basically raid log. I would just log on for raid, and then now we're done with the raid though. We killed the Mythic Jailer and all that stuff, so now we're just vibing. Such is life. Okay, wait, let's watch this, chat. We'll see if this is... Evil West was... If I remember the game, it looked like it had potential, but I don't know anything about it other than that. We'll have to wait and see now. It looks like Scuff God of War with guns. Wait, that sounds good, though. Wait, I'm actually in. All right, I'm playing it. I'm pretty sure just by watching this, I can already tell this game is not bad. You guys know that feeling you get when you instantly watch a game and you know it's shit? I don't have that right now, so there is potential for this game to be a solid okay.
I'm gonna hang your head on a
This reminds me of Borderlands almost right now.
You won't move. You're in my crosshairs.
What the fuck? Ooh, that hit sound and hit marker is weird. I like the movement.
We got him. Practice.
Ah, that looks good. Oh! Did you guys notice this? There's a little whoosh sound on the background. Every time someone starts to aim at you, it makes a sound, so that way you know to dodge, even though you aren't looking at them. You can hear it right now in the background. Just wait for it. Right there, the whoosh, and it does that little effect on them.
Practice.
You heard it from the right side? Yeah, and then he just blind dodges. What the fuck?
You're slower than molasses.
This is cool. Ah, it looks good.
The ticks. Gathering must be close by.
Dead end. Great. You seeing this too? Take it off.
Mr. Rentier, on a first date? What do you take me for?
You're right. Maybe a little light to set the mood.
No, no need. I see it now. Of course. The glamour. I'm on it.
Today, Chester.
Please. I need to concentrate. It's not that easy to sever the illusion from its source.
What's the source?
You don't want to know. Sanguis Eternus.
Well, I'll be damned.
Huh. The mouth movement was awful.
I've seen my share.
I don't care that much about facial animations.
That's something.
Honestly, if facial animations are bad, it's kind of a plus to me because at least I'll laugh. This is zombies? I really like the movement. That dodge is actually really cool. If they, it looks like they actually want you to dodge that much too. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Level up, new perk. Okay. What do you got? So we have. I'll move my cam so you guys can see everything. It looks like you have pistol. What is this? Grenades? There's 3 different kinds here in the top left, right? This is the revolver skill tree. And then you also have 2 different skill trees in the top left. These are upgrades though, not perks. He got a perk point, not an upgrade point. Mid-air shot. An enemy can be shot after becoming airborne with a single bullet for increased damage. Effect can be repeated with the right timing as long as the enemy stays mid-air. Does not work while fanning. So you can't fan the hammer mid-air, but if you shoot, then you do extra damage. That's cool. Revolver now has an extra bullet. The electrically augmented version of the revolver deals more damage, can make bullets ricochet. And that's just for one. Yeah, this is what I was interested in, though. Hitting a weak spot now restores a bullet that was spent on it. That was one of them, and now we're in perks. Are these all different kinds of punches that you do? Right? Uppercut, I guess. I don't know. Kick. Chaining the next Right button melee combo attack right when the previous one connects does 30% increased damage and makes the next punch faster. Killing a midair enemy has 100% chance of dropping energy. Do them both together and smash the ground with a damaging blast. Movement affects the input.
Christ, it's a goddamn blood factory.
I kind of like it. Cannonball extra damage. Cannonballing regular enemies into big ones is effective. Do this to cannonball an enemy. So he pulls them. Okay, dude. That was an interesting... Okay, I need to actually play that back because I like looking at game mechanics like this. He has like a 3-hit combo, and a 3rd hit, you guys see his circle appears on his chest? Right? 1, 2 stomp into overhead, and then a circle is on his chest, and if you shoot the circle, it interrupts his animation. And then it looked like he got stunned for a second. That's pretty cool. And he's doing frontal attacks too that are like waves on the ground. Oh, and he's supposed to be... Oh, and he's supposed to be uppercutting them and punching them into the boss over and over. Okay. And I think that the health was actually in like the square above their head. And after he hit the weak point when he went down is what made him take damage.
Bet that hurt.
What are you protecting?
Yeah, I think this game actually looks really well done. I don't know what kind of game it is, top to bottom. Like, I think it's just supposed to be a single player game, I assume, but I think it looks really, really good so far. I mean, that looked like he had a special thing to open up a side path and get unlockables, which is... Huh. And he got another perk from that.
Locusts.
I mean, the movement is not freeform like that. There are definitely like anchor points and stuff, but it still looks sick. Reminds me a lot of God of War. Yeah, it does. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that's actually just, that's good. It seems cool, but maybe boring story-wise. Well, we don't know that yet because I think in order to actually get a good feel for the story, you're going to have to see the intro or like a story cinematic. This is just to show the gameplay.
Hot killing time.
Was that a block, by the way, that he just did with his arm there? That was the electrical counter. It was like he blocked the next attack. I think it was. I like the gameplay, but Western stories are boring. Yeah, but like, I don't know if it's really a Western story. I mean, there's like a giant dino in front of them. There's like aliens and shit. It's weird.
Fucking great.
Oh, and yeah, the walk speed was slow, so now he's actually sprinting.
Look to be long dead. Trip into its guts. Great.
The objective said find, destroy the last glamour seal. Oh, so he's not using the revolver, he's on his rifle now.
Bet that hurt.
Wait, how many weapons does he have?
Got this fucker!
These are tanky boys.
Oh, hot killing time!
Okay, I thought they were tanky. All right, so you have finishers. He just got health. I think he got a health drop from that one. Does he have like 5 weapons in total? Because he just pulled out a fucking flamethrower. So he's got the electrical thing, revolver, rifle, flamethrower. Wonder how he gets access to them. That's cool. Okay. Oh, they were trying not to show off too many of the mechanics, so I just skipped the rest of the fight. Or it could just be boring. Good finisher.
Think you could have brought a bigger knife?
Some people get a gold watch when they retire. I got Susan here.
Susan.
Should have asked him how to get out of here.
Too late.
What
You
the
won't
hell?
be of any use for a month or two. Wait. What about Chester?
Well, what are you gonna do?
That mouth animation would look broken. It did not look right at all. That looked cool though. September 20th? Who made this game? Flying Wild Hog Focus Entertainment. Which one's the publisher? Which one's the dev? Oh, it says developed by Flying Wild Hog, published by Focus. What games did they do before this? Because this actually looks like really, really well done. And I'm in. Shadow Warrior? Hard Reset? Man, I don't think I ever played Shadow Warrior. I'm never getting a game where Focus is involved. I don't even recognize the name. So I'm lost on like the publisher side of things. It looks like Remnant meets God of War. It reminds me a lot of Remnant. And I think all those games, I mean, games that require you to actively dodge and you have multiple weapons. Like, I don't know. I'm in. Focus is a low budget publisher. But wait, why is that bad? I thought you guys were going to say like they were pay to win, like NetEase or something. I don't actually care like about most of that stuff. A Focus published A Plague Tale. Didn't that game do really well? I mean, either way, I don't know how like the whole relationship between publishers and devs work and everything like that. But it does look, this whole game does look really, really well done. And we do see mechanics in the bottom left, like he has health and then he has these 4 bullets. Those I'm interested in because I'm not sure if it's like, oh, you need a melee to get your gun back type of thing. And that was definitely a counter block from what it looks like. Right? He puts up his arm and then you get blocked and then you counterattack. Maybe it's energy, not bullets. Oh yeah, you're probably right. Maybe you're right, but then he's still doing the punchy, the electrical stuff without everything else. You're totally right though. They're not. I don't know why I said they're bullets, but yeah, I have no idea what that is. And the bottom right, I mean, I'll move my camera so you can see the bottom right. Like, there's, I don't even know. It's like a, okay, you got out of the combat, and the UI turns off out of combat. I mean, there's a lot of UI stuff in the center of the screen, which I'm a huge fan of because, well, it always doesn't really make sense that FPS games stuff all of the most important UI elements that you actively need to see during a game in the corners. It always just gets weird. Like the most popular UI in any game and any video game. Doesn't matter if it's an MMO, doesn't matter if it's anything. They will always end up putting things slightly more centered. It's like if the health is all the way down here in the bottom left, they'll put it like here. Right? And it's like that for 99% of players in MMOs and video games, from my experience. And I'm kind of wondering when devs will catch up at least a little bit in that regard. For health bars, at least. Although I am happy at least they're putting gun and ammo around the crosshair. That's cool. So I'm a fan. The Focus also published Alien Fireteam Elite. That game was better than any right it should have. That game was actually not terrible. Compared to what it used to be, that game's a lot better. But oh god. Also, Gator Tech's 4-year resub. Thank you. Spada, Gatorade, Forgot My Pants Again, Centurio, Leoric, Jimmy, Pluck, some Lurker, Fedoto, and Camiton. Thank you for the subs. Aliens Fireteam was kind of bad. That's what I mean is that game was bad, but it was better than it had any right to be.
The only thing that would make this game look better is if it used the Scum engine.
True. Need some more. I mean, that was actually one thing that this game did not focus on in the trailer was the animations and the story. That could be total dog shit for all we know, right? The cinematics do look cool though, but just have to wait and see. I mean, they got what, 3 months to polish up everything and let it go? It's going to be cool. Also, Spartan, thank you for the 10. Oh god. Okay, so now we have let's see. We had, dude, this is a giant fucking article. This is a giant interview with game director Aaron Keller. We also have a tiny one. Okay, what is this saying? There's a video of that, right? I could probably just watch the video. See, morale's high. Can't wait to talk about it. The promises. Want to make this rookie. This is PR. More PR. Exciting news. The pace of the roadmap is enabled by new tech achievements. The team is now several times larger than the original Overwatch unit and has developed tools and engine updates to allow for faster and easier building. With our technology, be able to keep Overwatch a very living game. Yeah, sure, I'm in. In conversation, it becomes clear around a year ago there was an internal shift in Team 4, where experiences were packaged together. Dev made a decision to separate the two to get them in players' hands faster. Only a year, huh? That explains a lot. It's so fucked. Well, what that explains with is that's why some parts of the game feel very, very done, right? Like the engine, the audio, the visual upgrades, like all the tech side. And then you also have what it kind of just felt like it was very sudden. Like, oh yeah, suddenly we're going 5v5. Suddenly we're doing all this other stuff. And it was very, it felt very sudden because it wasn't like they were talking about it before. And so that makes a lot more sense because they probably only started to get hard at all in on PvP in the last year. That's right after Jeff left. Is it? Trying to think. I have no idea on the time frame. I know that they had a dev. This would have been shortly after BlizzCon Online, right? BlizzCon Online was last like March, I think, maybe February. And then this is about a year ago, so this would have been like a few months after that dev stream because it's currently mid-June. And he left April 2021. Damn. Okay. The decision was we want to be able to release stuff as frequently as we can. It's taken us too long to be able to get that in front of players, so we made this big switch. It has been a really fast-paced year. We've had to do a lot of things to turn this massive ship that was going in one direction to go in another direction in order for us to fulfill one of our key values, which is to continuously update it. I just want to reiterate that we don't have a value of holding on to content. We don't want to develop things and put it together in a big box. We'd rather put out content when it's ready and do it as quickly as we can. Man, they really have no good, just like no good decisions for them to make. Oh God. Okay. This is, that is not a Blizzard value. What, to continuously update? I mean, historically in Overwatch it was. They were updating 3 characters a year with a few maps all the way from 2016 to 2019, weren't they? I don't know why people complain about 3 heroes per year. It's enough. I don't want Overwatch to be on League of Legends with 100 plus heroes. I mean, I can see why people would complain, because what people are going to argue is, I used to get 3 characters a year, and now you guys are putting in Battle Pass free-to-play monetization, so now I have to pay more for all the skins and stuff I used to get for free, but I'm still getting the same amount of heroes per year. And I think what they're actually going to probably argue is there's a lot more content outside of those heroes that are coming to the game, and so therefore you can't just look at the content in that one way of just strictly heroes per year, right? What's the ratio on all this Overwatch 2 news being appeasing investors versus consumers? I think it's actually all about the player in this case. Everything that they're saying here does not feel like PR. It is legitimately just, they were all in on PvE. And then they had to turn the ship around and go back to PvP because the game was dying. And they wanted to not abandon the core game. I don't know if that's, I mean, you could look at it as, oh, well, I mean, the cynical way of looking at that is Blizzard just was burning all their money on making this big PvE game, and they saw how much their competitors in Apex, Valorant, and Fortnite are making, so they decided to just go full in PvE live service to make bank, and then they can work on PvE in the long term. I mean, you can kind of look at it that way if you want, but also it lines up with players that actually want to see stuff faster, no matter what. Sarcastic, thank you for 2 years. CJ, thank you for 34 months. I'm curious why they never released that BlizzCon PvE mission a few years ago. I mean, didn't they though? In its own way, that is just the early PvE version. And I will say, by the way, it was actually pretty darn cool on a hard difficulty. I played that at BlizzCon 2019, so that would have been 2.5 years ago now. And that was legitimately very cool. They didn't release it. What I mean is, like, they're not going to release a mission. That's like saying, like, why didn't they just release this character 5 years ago? You know, it's like they were working on Overwatch 2. It's a part of Overwatch 2. Of course, they're not going to release anything with Overwatch 2. What I mean is, yeah, it just doesn't make sense for them to do that. But back in 2019, though, late 2019, when I actually got to play BlizzCon, we actually had the opportunity to play on a harder difficulty that no one else got to play. As far as I know, anyone did at BlizzCon, which was very, very cool. And that was because on the show build during BlizzCon, basically, how the show build worked was you would just like type in your name and then you could choose the difficulty on the right side. But it would only, there was 2 difficult. I think it was like normal and hard. That's all they wanted. And so you could not play hard difficulty unless every single computer also chose hard difficulty because it was a show build. And so naturally that meant that every other person who was just casually playing probably never played hard mode, or very few people did because you have to have everyone play at the same time. But that shit was actually hard when we played it. It was me and the streamers that were doing it. It was like, who was it back then? I want to say it was me, Fran, XQC. Was it Stylosa? I forget. I forget. It's been a few years now. And it was insane because you had to actually like do support ults at the right times, or else the whole team exploded. You have to push. You have to camp spawn. It was actually really well done in ways that normal PvE games necessarily aren't. Like, for example, when Destiny gets really hard, right, or other FPS PvE games, they have run into this really consistent problem of either bullet sponge, or they run into problems of corner camping. right? For example, if you try and go do GMs in Destiny 2, you're going to be camping around a lot of corners, getting 2 and 3 tapped. And the reason for that is there's no tanks, there's no supports, stuff like that. And so that demo didn't look fun at all. Just looked like the enemies were absurdly spongy. I don't remember them being spongy at all. But anyway, all I was saying was Overwatch's design is much closer to an MMO where you have a tank and you have a healer, so you could just like go in, and it's very, very cool in comparison to how a lot of those games work, where, you know, when I think of FPS PvE game, what are the big three in my mind? It's like Destiny is the most popular one, Borderlands, Division 2. I don't even know of any other ones off the top of my head that are that popular in FPS PvE world. I guess you could argue Deep Rock Galactic, but it's not really the same. Warframe for sure, but Warframe is also, well, actually Warframe has, what's it called? Is it Iron Path? So they actually did add harder content over the years. What else am I missing? I would also say Warframe is very specific, very like different. Steel Path, that's what it was. Yeah, I was going to say Iron Path. I remember, I was like, it's something Path. Anyway, it's Outriders. Yeah, well, Outriders doesn't go for harder content necessarily. I mean, I played and I loved Outriders. Vermintide, I wouldn't say Vermintide's more. It is.
I sure hope they launch Overwatch 2 with the same beloved monetization that is in Diablo Immortals. I'm looking forward to having content locked behind 4 different coin-based systems. Home equity loan necessary just to unlock the full game.
Oh no, dude. Listen, chat. I saw Quinn69 finally get a 5-star gem after spending $20,000. Okay, I think the monetization is just fine. Thank you, Spartan, for the 10. Is $25,000? Wait, how high did he go? I thought it was like 20. Well, wait, it's. I mean, you could say it, so there's gonna be like someone's gonna argue. Yeah, I could already see it. Like, yeah, it's 25,000 New Zealand dollars, but still, that's like, okay. Real quick, what is this? That's like 16K. Like, dude. Oh man. It's still, that's practically nothing. That's a deal. My car is cheaper than that. Yeah. And it will cost him 7K to upgrade it. Oh yeah, true. He actually still needs to pump in even more money now that he has obtained a single 5-star gem to then upgrade it himself. You are right. You are right. I forgot about the upgrading part. But yes, everyone knows monetization when it comes to that game in particular is evil. That is very evil. Boy, I hope he loves this free-to-play video game. Well, let's not lump together free-to-play games into that, right? Like, most free-to-play games, especially on PC, are still, they have that strict wall. Cosmetics only. Oh god, this is a 25-minute interview. No wonder why this is so long. Oh my god. Chad, do we watch this? It was a good interview, was it? This is going to be a legendary stun lock at this point, I'm in. I feel like if I don't watch it, I'm not actually, I feel like I'm going to miss something important. Dude, I just scrolled. The first roadmap is for a year. How long internally have you planned out for? Oh god, how is PvE going to work? Ooh, there's some good questions in here. And also, I feel like I'm not getting the whole story. Although, Aaron Keller is definitely, I would say, in all of the pieces I've done with him so far, he's definitely like the very safe interviewer. I feel like we don't really get to see his personality as much when he's on camera. He's in PR mode. Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't get to see his like. I guess it's hard because yeah. Play it and skip boring questions. All right, fuck it.
That would be difficult to do without the context of it being a sequel. We are reworking the PvP experience for Overwatch. We're shifting from
Also, is this also on
a
YouTube?
6v6
Because this quality
team
looks low.
format to a 5v5 team format. It's removing one of the tanks from the lineup. We're also introducing role passives for every hero. We are reworking.
All right, wait. I mean, it is on YouTube. Wait, link me the YouTube one. I'm in. I'll watch this on the YouTube version because I think it'll probably have higher quality than this one. Better quality will be released in the Battle Pass streamer. Okay, dude. Alright, I changed my director to the Overwatch category because I think we're going to be here for a hot minute while we watch this interview. Overwatch 2, the big interview. Holy shit. They just straight up call it the big interview, huh? GameSpot sat down with game director Aaron Keller to discuss Blizzard's new approach, which builds upon its predecessor to become a free-to-play live service game. I'm changing to straight up Overwatch interview than gaming. Oh my god, they even timestamped every question. Nice. I'm not, Chan, I feel like I want to get the authentic experience. Here, put myself in this corner.
With Overwatch 2, that would be difficult to do without the context of it being a sequel. We are reworking the PvP experience for Overwatch. We're shifting from a 6v6 team format to a 5v5 team format. It's removing one of the tanks from the lineup. We're also introducing role passives for every hero. We are reworking and modifying a lot of the heroes in the game. We're removing crowd control abilities from the game. And so we're able to keep all of that going forward. But at the same time, Overwatch 2, it does feel like something fresh and something new. And I think it's easier to do something like that in the context of a sequel.
Okay, but it's not really the sequel it was supposed to be, right? Because the sequel that this was all supposed to be and everything he said is true, but he's still only describing half the game it's supposed to be. The other half is supposed to be the PvE, right? So everyone agrees with him that Overwatch 2 is very modified in comparison to the first game, and it is actually, like, I'm going to say the gameplay is incredible in Overwatch 2 compared to the first one, but the point is, when people, it's not that it doesn't feel like a sequel, it's because when you walk into a scenario like this and people first saw this live service PvE game that you put in front of them and then you bring only the PvP, they're going to think what it could have been on release, not what it is.
Yeah, this is a really exciting time for the team. Overwatch launched 6 years ago in 2016, and we've released updates to the game.
Oh god, dude, we're really old, chat.
This October, when we release Overwatch 2, it will be the largest update
Everyone meaning people who have played or watched the game professionally, others who look at it don't see a difference. Okay, there's like a... Okay. I'm going to get sunlight by this for a minute because I feel like it's something important to talk about. It's mind-blowing to me, right, that we can have people come in and say Overwatch 2 doesn't feel different compared to Overwatch 1, but at the same time say Valorant is so different than Counter-Strike. Because at the end of the day, there are so many, like, I'm mind blown, right? Dude, the amount, are they the same people? No. All I'm saying is the gaming community at large will accept the fact that we have remixes of genres that make them fundamentally different all the time. League of Legends compared to Dota when it first launched. Valorant compared to Counter-Strike when it first launched. And then we look at Overwatch 2 compared to Overwatch 1 and they go, well, it's the exact same game. And then, but the people who actively play the genre, we're the same version of those CS players who are like, whoa, hold up, streamer. Valorant is not Counter-Strike at all. It has abilities and it's disgusting. My pure FPS experience is ruined. But Overwatch 2, meanwhile, we have our hardcore people at the same time who are going, okay, dude, but Overwatch 2 is totally different. Like, they literally removed all the shield CC in the game, and they're trying to actually change it fundamentally from this obscene tank healer centric game into this and that. And there's always going to be that core, I guess, difference between what players who are into the genre say and what players out of the genre say, right? And so to me, I'm going to meme about CS Valorant, right? Because I go, dude, dude, they both have an op. They literally named their anti-cheat VAC. They both have the same economy. They both just go for ops and rifles every game. They both have the same game mode. It's still the same type of TAC FPS, right? You can, like, from the outside, everything I said is true, right? But if you are actively involved in those games, you appreciate the nuance and depth to a huge extent, right? You walk in and you go, well, actually, streamer, Valorant is very ability centric. CS is very FPS centric. Counter-Strike is more mechanics dependent, because how Counter-Strike works is it has a faster acceleration, faster move speed, whereas Valorant has a slower move speed, more similar actually to Counter-Strike 1.6. You know, and it's interesting to see how all these, I guess, to the general public, how all these games look. But I feel like it's actually because Overwatch is much less of a popular genre. Like Team Fortress 2 and fast-paced FPS genre and all that stuff is, for the most part, very niche in comparison to TAC FPS. And so that outside perspective is very large in comparison to other games. So we'll see. We shall see. Anyway, Resty, sorry I skipped your Jonah. I was ranting. What'd you say?
Look at the size of that thing.
Gull, if it helps you, we are apparently not all that much of boomers after all. I played Name the Game logo with my 14 to 15-year-old students and not a single one got Overwatch wrong. Meanwhile, half of them didn't know Skyrim C-derp.
Wait. I mean, that makes sense. Skyrim, yeah, that makes sense actually. Skyrim is... Whew.
Ever released
That's old.
for Overwatch. There'll be new heroes, new maps, new game modes, a totally
What is the
reworked
Skyrim logo?
PvP
It's that dude
system.
with the head.
And for us to have been working on this
The helmet.
for so long over the course of years,
I thought.
without really being able to show it to the public, this is a moment that the team is now being able to focus on and get really, really excited about. So to have the game out in the public,
No, it's the
and
dragon?
to have an actual launch date for the game is really thrilling for us.
What are your key objectives? Have they changed?
we
How the game
have
is quite
a
different.
few values that we keep in mind as we develop Overwatch 2. It's one of the things that that sort of caused the shift to free-to-play is that we want to keep our community together as much as we can. And so rather than releasing another box that players would have to buy in order to opt into the experience, we'd rather open the game to as a broad of a population as possible. So Overwatch, it's a universe that welcomes everyone,
Okay.
you know, and we
Not wrong.
want people to be able to play with as many of their friends as they want to.
Chat, it's very funny to listen to these responses because I know where these people are coming from in the interviews and the developers, because the Overwatch franchise was born in the era that new maps would come out and you would have to buy that map DLC to actually play the map.
It's
Like, they have to come out and say, like, oh yeah, like, we didn't want people to just play a separate box.
Overwatch
And it's
is
just
a game
any Modern
of
Warfare 2
teamwork
gamers.
and
What I'm trying to say
cooperation
is,
and strategy, and we feel like it's played best.
more than anything, it just feels like they are really trying to bridge the generational gap of gamers here of just, I don't understand, you know, then the...
in a social setting.
It's very funny
with
to
your
even
friends.
answer
And
that
so
question in the current year.
removing that barrier to entry, the price as a barrier to entry, is hopefully a way for you to be able to play with more of your friends and have a better experience.
Dota League
with the
existed in 2016. What I mean, in terms of live service FPS, that was non-existent in 2016. Not to the same extent as it started to happen 2 years later as Apex, Fortnite, and Valorant. What do you think of Overwatch today? You've given presented in a way that is different from the initial pitch. Ooh, that's a good question.
We are doing things with Overwatch 2 that would be difficult to do without the context of it being a sequel. We are reworking the PvP experience for
He's
Overwatch.
dodging it.
We're shifting from a
This is
6v6
what I
team
responded to at
format
the start.
to a 5v5 team format. It's removing one of the tanks from the lineup. We're also introducing role passives for every hero. We are reworking and modifying a lot of the heroes in the game. We're removing crowd control abilities from the
The answer in question he's actually dodging is where's PvE in that question, right? Because the initial pitch for Overwatch 2 was this really big PvE game, and that was the pitch, and I think that's what the interviewer was trying to get to.
game. And
He's
so
sidestepping
I
it.
think that Overwatch has a certain magic to it when you play it. There's this mojo. It just feels great to play it. And we're able to keep all of that going forward, but at the same time, Overwatch 2, it does feel like something fresh and something new. And I think it's easier to do something like that in the context of a sequel. On top of that, this is the largest update we've ever released for the game. There are a lot of new things coming out in October. With new heroes and new maps, we have a new competitive system coming out, and there's so much more.
He called it an update. I know, chat, but like, do you guys really have to do them like that? Chill out. Come on.
come.
It's not a sequel, lol, just an update. Okay,
So
bro.
by going free to play,
What else is he
with
gonna call
Overwatch,
it? This is the first, like, the biggest content drop for the game. I mean,
we are not just giving people a different way of interacting with the game. The development team itself is thinking about the way we create and release content in a totally new way. The amount of content it takes to run a free-to-play live service game is orders of magnitude more than what it takes to run something that you put into a box and sell it. So the
He's
whole
not wrong.
Overwatch team, it's totally like restructured and grown. It's over 3 times the size it was when
3 times the size. The original Overwatch team, for I remember, was like, what, 60 to 80-ish? It was very small.
we launched the original game. And it's structured in such a way that we can simultaneously work on things for the launch and the rest of this year, but next year as well. And I think this is also a shift in the way we think about releasing big pieces of the game. So rather than just developing things and holding them and then combining them to put into a box, we're now committed to releasing them when they're ready and doing that for the long term. The Overwatch team, we're still working on all of the parts, all of the PvE parts of Overwatch 2 that we've always envisioned for it. But now, rather than releasing them in a box, we're going to be releasing them as part of our seasonal cadence.
Do you buy that, Jet? That's not good. Fancy phrases. There's a lot of fancy phrases going on. I find it. We went from a PvE game that was supposed to be a campaign and then have a PvE end game with levels, talents, and everything. And then now we're saying we're going to drop it in a seasonal format. I feel like people are not going to believe it until they see it. Because when you talk about that in a seasonal format, what it actually sounds like is Archives 2.0.
Overwatch team, we're still working on all of the parts, all of the PvE parts of Overwatch 2 that we've always envisioned for it. But now, rather than releasing them in a box, we're going to be releasing them as part of our seasonal cadence. I know that there's a lot here, but really this is a demarcation point for Overwatch, where the way we create and release content is different, and even the way we think about and run the game is different. So, in my opinion, this justifies putting the 2 after Overwatch.
That makes sense, but I understand what he means, but I feel like he's really not. It just, the entire point is the sequel was for the PV. And so now when you say, oh yeah, we're just going to drop that in a seasonal cadence, does that also mean that they intend on making PV free? There's so many things, there's so many questions, and there's so many ways that can also go wrong. Like, it took Destiny so many seasons to start getting their stories right in a seasonal format. A lot of those seasons were just straight up not good. And somehow the Overwatch team is going to try and say, look, we're trying to convert our PvP game to a live service game. We're going to compete with Apex, Valorant, and all these other games. Then we're do this Destiny style PvE like story beats, I guess, at the same time. That's wild. That's going to be intense.
Going free to play is it's a pretty big change for a team and for a game. The last thing we want to do is put all of our resources into developing this release for October 4th and then have everybody on the team burn out, have everybody want to take a vacation. October is the start of Overwatch 2. It's the beginning of a new era for the game, and it really just marks the moment where we need to start releasing more and more content for players. And so we have to structure a team that can work on a lot of different pieces of content at the same time, a lot of different seasons, and it's not just cosmetic content, but it's heroes, it's maps, it's
He said cosmetic content.
game modes, it's new features and systems.
I can't.
It's new events for the game. And so to be able to do all of that for multiple seasons all at the same time it's a pretty massive shift for us to be able to actually hit that.
He's not wrong. Everything that he just said is, yeah, that's totally fine. Just the idea of cosmetic content. God. Chat, are cosmetics content? I don't think so. I don't believe you. Anyway, are there plans to change how you're going to be communicating with the community? I guess it is to some extent. Like if you're going to grind for it, like there's plenty of things in video games, like specifically MMOs and RPGs, where you can actually like grind for things in the game to eventually get cool cosmetics. But cosmetics that are a part of a battle pass or rotating item shop, that's not content. That's cash money.
One of the big changes that we're making to Overwatch, and one of the big changes that the team has really embraced, is that
I'm not going to harp on it more than that because it's mostly just funny, right? And from the developer side of things, by the way, it is true that that is content they have to make. So it's just like that. It's not really
so
applicable though to the player's gameplay.
What we're doing, and we want to give greater detail of what our plans are for the future. We're releasing a roadmap. That goes
very
over
impressed
the
actually
first
they
few
came out with a
seasons
roadmap at all
specifically, but also in general, roughly the first year of what we're going to be releasing for Overwatch. We never did something like that, but also when you have a game that is kind of your main game, you know, like this is the thing, I'm going to go home and I'm going to play Overwatch tonight.
True.
You become invested in something like that, and it's more than just what can I play right now. You start kind of looking to the future for something like that. It becomes more a part of your life. And I think that having information about where something that important to people is going is really important. So the Overwatch team is embracing that as a new value for us.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah, I'm just down to be open to people. You mentioned cosmetics and do things same in the story. Can you talk about the decision to lose loot boxes? Ooh, I mean, I want to say the decision to lose loot boxes is just because Overwatch's loot boxes are actually too nice, and also regulations that are becoming more and more prevalent across the world. For example, in places like Belgium. This is going to be a pure response. 100%.
Loot boxes, they've always been a part of Overwatch 1, but as the game has grown, and especially as we go into a free-to-play version of the game where we're adding more and more cosmetics, it becomes a lot harder to earn what you want with a loot box system. And so by losing those and moving over to a shop for Overwatch 2, it gives players the actual agency and the choice to go after what it is they want to have in the game.
That is actually such a good PR response. God damn it. That's a good spin. Anyway, he's not entirely wrong either. Loot boxes a lot of the time, like if you actually go buy like 30 loot boxes in a random game, like they're like 29 dog shit. And I understand what he's saying, but also Overwatch had such a good implementation of that loot box system that it was so ridiculously friendly towards the player that, yeah, but also I think in the general gaming industry, he's not wrong, but also when it comes to Overwatch's previous implementation, the real story here is, guys, these loot boxes were way too fucking nice when we gave them out for free all the time. We got to get rid of this shit. What's going on?
With
And
the
this is, yeah, I know.
amount of heroes that we have in the game and the amount of content that we're developing for all of them, it can be a really exciting thing now to say like, oh, this is the hero that I like to play, and I see all of this stuff that's available to me, and then you can choose whether you want to engage with it or not.
A lot of people loot box with a proverbial carrot on the stick. What becomes that now for players?
I think that
And buy that's when I open the wallet and buy the content.
going forward, that's really the place that our battle pass is going to take. Battle
True.
passes typically have a track where there's progression through it, and so as you play more of the game, you'll move through the battle pass, and it'll kind of hit a lot of the same spots that our previous progression system did.
Yeah, true. Mythic skins, how do they work?
So with Mythic skins, we've taken all of that, everything that we're doing to our legendary skins, and we're plussing it. We're taking it over the top. Our Mythic skins are customizable. You can change different like various parts of the skin and different looks for it. So for season 1, we're premiering with our Genji Mythic skin. He has different tattoos that you can swap on and off, different colors. He has different weapons that you can equip for him. And I think the coolest part about him is he's got like this really cool mask covering his face. And when you go into his ultimate, when you activate his ultimate, the mask opens up and there's all these cool VFX in there. And so it's just something that I think when players see it, they'll kind of recognize that it's a whole tier above what our legendary skins are. And I hope that they really, really love it.
Chad, that just sounds like Overwatch's version of heirloom skins from Apex or anything else, but just better. Like instead of in those games, heirlooms are just fancy melee weapons, and that's it. In this game, it sounds like the exact same thing. And he didn't talk about how to obtain them, so I'm just gonna predict right now it's probably gonna be $150. Right? You're probably gonna have to spend an obscene amount of money for a mythic skin. Like, I have no faith. And the reason for that is because, do you guys remember the competitor skins like that? In other games, Valorant and Apex regularly charge that high. They go really, really high. And so I would be very surprised. And given that we're copying everything from other games already, right? We're straight up lifting the battle pass system. We're having what will probably be challenges, dailies, weeklies, right? The mythic skin will more than likely be targeted towards whales, and it will be very, very expensive. I cannot imagine it being anything else, because every other competitor in the space has the equivalent of those whale skins, and they're all $100 plus, right? I would be so surprised. That would suck if the best skin is out of the reach of the regular battle pass. What on earth gives you the idea that that skin will be in the battle pass? There is no way. The most expensive thing in Valorant is only $50. Didn't Valorant get a lot of shit early on because Valorant has quite a lot of upgrades to their skins? Only $50, by the way. Well, Chad, I'm saying I think it'd be over 100. I'm talking like bundle prices go up to 100. It's not even true. Base maybe 50, but it's like 90 or 100 for complete customized. I was talking like top level, you fully do everything. I drop $100 quarterly on PoE, $50 is cheap. Now, Chad, I kind of want to go in and just look at the high end of Valorant skins and Apex skins. Apex, I've seen a single skin in Apex, which was actually got a lot of shit back then, was the Bloodhound skin in Apex was $150. In Valorant, it is $50 base, $80 for all upgrades for $130 total. And then bundles are commonly $100. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, was my initial prediction of saying like, yo, I think this is gonna be like over $100? I'm just saying, man, if the other games are pricing stuff that high, would not surprise me at all. Okay? Would not surprise me at all. And the reason for that is because we're already lifting the cosmetic model that has become standard in the overall industry, right? And Overwatch is trying to catch up and do the same things as everyone else. So, and now we have this level of skin, which is super customizable, and it looks like a fucking fancy RGB Genji or something. I don't fucking know. I just assume it's going to be expensive. That's just how it is. I don't understand the pricing logic. Will people not buy more things if they're reasonably priced? Yeah, they don't care. They just want the whale. So I'm just going to assume like that one single skin is just going to be like $100 or something.
Right now, we're planning on having a new mythic skin
By the way, the whale is me.
debut every season in the game.
New mythic skin every season. Chat, there's only, like he said, there's only one skin every season. So yeah, I can, and there's also the only people who would be probably buying those mythic skins are the people really into that character who are like, oh, the Genji main, I buy his $100 skin this year or something. I don't fucking know. Can you talk about Junker Queen?
So Junker Queen is our...
There's no way it's going to be $100. That's so high. That's what I'm trying to say though, is dude, I really think that's just going to be normal. Compared to other games, like people spend that level of money on cosmetics. I am cynical enough to believe that it will be probably like $100 or something absurd, right? Like I just, chat, it is easier in the gaming industry to go higher and be pleasantly surprised. Okay? At least it's not a gotcha. Not yet.
latest hero. She's a tank, and we're going to debut her as part of the next beta. So she has some new mechanics that we don't have in Overwatch yet. I think that we're really excited for. She utilizes a mechanic called Bleed.
Also, I am.
And when she does certain types of damage to characters, she receives that same amount as overhealth to her. And there's lots of different ways for her to do it.
Apply bleeds, get HP.
With an axe, a dagger, and she uses this like electromagnetic gauntlet to control some of this. So when she throws her dagger out, she can then reactivate the ability and pull it back. And it will like pierce everybody that's in the way of it. So you can hit somebody on the way out and pull it back and do damage to them again, or sometimes you can purposefully miss and put it behind a team and then pull it back through them, hitting each one of them, applying a bleed to each one of them, and taking all of that as overhealth.
Oh, okay. I'm in. I like the idea of lifesteal tank. I know it's not specifically lifesteal because you also get, it also goes above your health, but it's cool. Like, I'm in. So it's not a bleed, it's lifesteal. Well, no, it's like a bleed that gives you health.
Also,
so like you just throw it at a wall and then wait for the team to walk in and then you pull it and yoink, and you get it like 3 stacks if it's like a tank, plus a bunch of other people.
When she swings her axe, when
then she gets overhealed.
She can take all of that damage and apply a bleed and get that as overhealth as well. So if she's playing right and hitting people frequently, she's able to...
That charge, by the way, is her ultimate, right? That's what, let's check the old real fast in this 1 second clip. We saw tons of this already. I didn't really look in depth. This ultimate is a charge with a wind up that also does an Ana purple on every single target you go through. And then also it looks like she has a right click, which is to pull out like a melee axe and chop somebody near you. Her left click is like her normal gun, which kind of looks almost like a shotgun. And then she had, I think it was the axe. What else? Her right click is just her general axe, I think. And then she had something that was an AoE heal.
And hitting people...
The knife?
Frequently.
Yeah, she had an AoE heal at the same time. I think that's the shift.
She's able to be really tanky and kind of just stay up in front of people. And on top of that, she has a buff where she shouts and she gives basically a haste as well as over health to herself as well as all of her allies. And
what is haste in this case? I'm going to assume it's move speed. Right? I will take it as move speed, like a Lucio speed boost. So in that case, is she a tank? Yeah, she's a tank. So in that case, it's you pop your shift, everyone on your team gets HP and a speed boost, and you hold W. Attack speed? That's my question. I was like, haste in my mind means attack speed, right? Not move speed. But that's weird. Why does he call it haste? We're going to have to wait and see in like, what, a week and a half or whatever when we get to actually play.
So she's one of these tanks that she's not long range, but when she's in the thick of things and when she's hitting people, she's really, really hard to take down.
Okay, so she just gets in your face, starts chopping, and gets a ton of HP. And then she can also push shift and pop
for a
off.
live service game. A free-to-play live service game is a pretty major undertaking. I understand that there can be some doubt from the community as to whether or not the team is up to this task. We have really grown and really reorganized this team, all with the singular focus of being able to create as much content as we can. And
Although,
to
be fair,
on a
rightfully so, yes. It is very deserved doubt because they've been left without content for 2.5 years, and now they're coming back and saying, we're going to pump out all of this stuff. I will say that when Blizzard has ever publicly come out with any plans in terms of patches or content, they don't miss. If they say it, it happens. It's very rare. Hey, Seagull, here's a clip of the shout. The only time I remember them ever missing over the years, by the way, on that was Echo's release. And Echo's release was supposed to be BlizzCon 2019, I think, and then it came out March 2020, I believe. I'm trying to remember the exact time frame. I might have totally different, wrong or anything else. And that was because of a tech issue, if I remember correctly. There was some weird tech issues. Anyway, what was this? I got linked a clip really fast. I wanna see it before. This is a Prime Gaming.
A debuff buff called Wound, which causes a bit of a bleed effect on the opponent, which heals her. If you do this
this is
really
it.
well, she's hard to
Running,
kill. Like you
shift.
really get in there and you use her
Damage
abilities
forward,
in
I
a
like
certain
it.
loop.
It is a Lucio speed boost.
Yeah. She also has this ability called Commanding Shout, which kind of boosts the speed and armor of teammates around her. So
And armor. Okay, so it is also armor, not just health.
not to say that teammates don't need to be around her, but she is
Isn't that just a brig rally on a cooldown? Interesting. Even has the green aura. Armor no longer exists though. Yeah, wait. Because there is, because I was like, wait. How is this supposed to work? Because he probably misspoke. Yeah, I'm going to assume that they misspoke because giving armor out with new armor is kind of intense. But that, I'll just assume because Aaron said it was overheal.
Consistent.
We'll go with overheal because that sounds more normal, right? Like if you push shift and you give everyone around you like 50 or okay, God. Dude, that's also scary. AoE heals in Overwatch are very terrifying to add. Yeah, it's very scary.
and frequent seasonal basis.
We'll see how it goes.
We have multiple heroes, multiple post-release heroes in development as we speak. One of them is already almost ready to go. And so I feel like
that's
for the
normal.
foreseeable future, this is a cadence that we can hit. We wouldn't put something into a public-facing roadmap if we didn't have a pretty high degree of confidence that we would be able to actually hit the dates that we were promising to the public.
True. They wouldn't say it if they weren't confident. That's true. Are you pre-planning meta changes as well as pre-planning new characters? No, they're not.
It's really interesting to talk about the future of Overwatch when there's a bunch of other heroes in the game, and to figure out how the game will actually play when it's like that. And I think we can theory craft some of that. It's really difficult to get that right from the beginning. I think what I'm excited about and what some of the team is excited about is by introducing new heroes to the game, we are introducing change to the game. And it's a new value of ours that we don't just want this release to feel fresh. We don't just want the launch of Overwatch 2 to feel like it's something different. We kind of always want it to feel like it's growing and evolving and changing. And if you think back to the history of Overwatch as we introduced different heroes to the roster, most of the time those would all introduce either new mechanics or a new meta. There wasn't as big of a need to do all of the balance changes that it feels like the community has been calling for over the past year when we haven't had things like new heroes added.
Isn't that actually true? They haven't been adding anything into the game, so they just haven't done any balance patches in the last year or two in comparison to years previously, because they don't see there's much of a need, and they probably got it like relatively well balanced. But what he is saying though is beyond the idea of competitive balance, the idea of shaking things up to make it fresh is now a new value for that team. That'll be interesting. Pepe laughed, double shield. Yeah, but is double shield good? Okay. My question was, when people were still playing an Overwatch League on Overwatch 1 and doing pro level scrims and pro level stuff, was double shield still meta at the end of last season? No. It was rush and ball dive. Yeah, and so when it comes to stuff like double shield on the ladder, I feel like it's more about what's brain dead to play and ineffective more so than what's really effective, because the environment of solo queue in a ranked game is like you're put with a bunch of strangers. You just got to try and make shit work.
To the game. And so, yes, I think that there are going to be changes, but those changes are actually a positive thing for the game, and there's something that we're looking forward to.
How long internally have you planned? Oh, that dude. They're like years.
Oh, you're asking for like deep dark secrets of Overwatch development. Yeah, so we have a pretty good idea of most of the content and features that are coming out for almost the whole first year of Overwatch 2. And I think there'll probably be more than what we have on the roadmap. Sometimes it's just hard to predict everything that you're going to be able to get in, and also everything that the game might need based off of the way players in the community reacts to it. One of the really exciting things about going free to play is just the change in the way we're thinking about releasing big pieces of the game. So we might not know what hero we're...
I mean, okay, he did say that we might be releasing more than the roadmap, but there's a reason they didn't put that anywhere else. This isn't a random statement in a half-hour interview, right? Like, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And he's professionally dancing around the question. Chad, they're definitely planned out for years. He actually answered. He said, no, like, we've planned out at least the next year.
Releasing 2 years from now. But
okay, I need to go back 5 seconds.
We're thinking about releasing big pieces of the game. So we might not know what hero we're releasing 2 years from now. But we do have an idea of some of the really big things that we have been working on that will make their way into seasonal releases. And one of those is the PvE experience that we've always envisioned to be a part of Overwatch 2.
Okay, dude. The PvE experience we've always envisioned. Interesting that he says that we've always envisioned, because that to me implies that it's not watered down. Right? That's what he's kind of trying to say.
One of the like really encouraging pieces of feedback that we got from the beta was not only that the game felt fresh and different, was that there was a lot of positivity surrounding 5v5. And a lot of times when you just announce that you're doing something different, especially when it's like a fundamental change to a game, and you announce that without people being able to play it, there can be a lot of skepticism surrounding it. And you get it in a lot of different formats. So it can be something like, hey, I don't think that having one tank on the field is going to be as fun. There's support aren't going to have people peel for them, or there's going to be too much pressure on one tank. And another...
he just like labeled every common community criticism, by the way, in gameplay. Too much pressure on one tank, too much pressure on supports. Dude, they know.
Criticism that you could get sometimes is, hey, I have a team of 6 people that I play with all the time. How are we going to manage something like that going forward? And I think that at least on the first 2 fronts and a lot of the other gameplay concerns.
Imagine being the 6th friend. Oh no.
It felt like most people were really positive on the gameplay changes that we were introducing. On the side where people have a group of 6 people playing, right now we don't have a great answer for it.
Yeah, true, dude.
I can't say that that there is going to be a 6v6 mode for those people. There are things that we're talking about internally that we're really excited about, but I don't think that they're going to make launch. And one of those things is adding support for group sizes larger than 5, where people will be able to seamlessly spectate and then drop in and out. So you could at least have a group of friends that can all hang out and play Overwatch together, even if they're not all playing the same game at the same time.
Oh, like a tag team thing? That would actually, okay, I understand that. That there is no good response or answer for that. For many, PV and PvE was the complete package for Overwatch 2. Can you talk about the decision to decouple them? All right, boys, sit up in my chair.
When we initially announced Overwatch 2, we presented a vision of a PvP game that had a big PvE component to it at the same time. And as we developed that game, what it meant was that the PvP side of the game was coupled, or was joined with the PvE side of the game. And
He's already said this.
The release of any PvP content was now being gated by the amount of time it took for us to build the PvE side of the game. And as that took longer, it meant that there was less focus going into the live side of the game. This, I feel like this went against one of the core values that the Overwatch team has always had, which is to be able to deliver content regularly for our players. And so the longer that went, I think we realized that we had to change something. And so I understand that there was a vision of what Overwatch 2 was, but we are changing that. And
Damn, he's just saying it straight up. We are changing it.
Reason that we are changing that is because we want to be able to get content to our players as soon as we possibly can. We think that that is the right thing to do for our community. We think it's the right thing to do for the game. It's the right thing to do for all of our players. And so that was the initial impetus of what caused us to completely change our strategy.
Okay. So RIP PV content, that's what I find interesting, because you still have all this work that went into the PV side of the game that very clearly took the bulk of the development time. And now you guys did the 180, you turned the ship around, turned the bus around, turned the boat around, whatever you want to call it. And you went all in again on PvP for the last, year? And now you've managed, and that's why it feels like it's so light on launch with 3 characters and stuff, is what it feels like to me, is because you guys were so deep into PvE. What happens to PvE now? That's what I'm interested in. And they say it's going to be released in seasonal cadence, but that makes it almost sound like you guys are gutting what it was supposed to be.
I love the cinematics that Blizzard makes. I'm a fan of them. I've cried during every single Overwatch animated short. I don't know if it's me or if it's the movie, but it just has like this kind of powerful effect on me. Anytime we release new content to the game,
every single
we typically try to make a different cinematic for it. All of our heroes have an origin story for them. And then when we're able to, we try to highlight a lot of that with our bigger pieces, the big animated shorts that we do. Over the past few years, as we had been focusing on Overwatch 2, we released less content to the game. But now that we are moving into this new era of Overwatch where it's free to play and it will be a constant stream of new content coming out, a lot of it will be new heroes. We need new pieces to reinforce all of that. So we'll be releasing new origin stories. We have several animated shorts that we're working on that we cannot wait to share with players. And yes, I cry during all of those too. And so I think in this this new model of the game, players will be able to expect more storytelling than they've had before.
All right. Man, what an interesting... I'm very curious how this story is supposed to play out, because originally, guys, the entire Overwatch 2 story was supposed to be in this PvE linear campaign. You would go through this campaign, you'd play it, and that was the story point. And then I thought that's where that was like the base of the story, and then it would go from there. But now PvE is delayed and until next year, but they have to launch these characters sooner. So I have no idea like how that even story pacing even works now. That's got to be weird.
So in the next beta, Overwatch will debut a new PvP map. It takes place in Rio, and it's called Paraiso. The map is one of our hybrid
How the
types.
hell
so
do I
it
pronounce
means
that? What is that?
Attackers will need to capture an
My
objective,
American
and
brain
then from
can't
there,
handle this.
they will escort a payload through the rest of the map. And there's a lot of really interesting things about the map. Just because it takes place in Rio, it has this like amazing coastal scene to it. Attackers come out of the spawn room and there's this massive beach in front of them, and all of the buildings are so incredibly colorful there. And even there's this set of stairs like halfway through the map, and every tile on the stairs is a different color. And so this map is like, it's incredibly vibrant and it's really lively, and I think it really expresses that part of the world. And the other really exciting thing about Rio is this is the home of Lucio. So the last third of the map actually takes place in Lucio's club. And you can move through the space as you're
Just a giant club.
pushing the payload through there. The defenders are actually spawning in Lucio's home. And so you get a look at where he lives, at his own personal mixing booth in there. And it's just like a really cool character piece. I think anytime we're able to tie a map and a hero together to kind of provide more context.
Wasn't this the
to our
PV mission you
world,
played a long time ago?
It's when we're
The PV mission I played was like 2.5 years ago. I don't remember the PV mission. I don't remember being a club at all.
doing the best version of our world building. And then Paraiso also, it has a lot of like really cool moments in it. There's high ground all around the first point, and each team has a different way to access it. So defense can kind of access high ground from their side of the point, and offense has a few ways of accessing it from their side. And so there's a lot of use for highly mobile characters on this map.
Dive map.
And then as you move through and get towards the end, the high ground actually continues. And so there's, as you travel through this sort of like more quaint village section of Rio, there's different rooftops that you can get to. There's different levels of Lucio's club that you can get to. And I think that it's a really fun map that really highlights a lot of our heroes' movement abilities, as well as a lot of the sort of like long-range sight lines that we have, while still providing all these like tight little flanking routes for heroes like Reaper and I was going to say Junker Queen, and Junker Queen to excel on.
Did he hesitate on saying Junker Queen? Because he had to wait. He's like, wait, am I allowed to say this yet? I wonder when this was recorded. There was gameplay of that map. Or was he referring to another flanking character and then realized, wait, I can't say that character yet? That'd be funny. Anyway, I know that I've seen gameplay of this map before. I just don't remember. There's a cadence for hero release. Is there any sort of cadence with regard to adding new maps? We already know that. That's every other season.
There's a lot of new content coming to Overwatch, and we're going to be releasing all of it on a seasonal basis. And our seasons are going to run roughly 9 weeks. Roughly every other season, if not a little bit more, we'll be adding a new hero to the game. And on our other seasons, we're adding things like new maps, new game modes, and as well as events. Actually, I think events we're hoping to have in as many seasons as we possibly can, just because they're like a really fun moment for players to just kind of explore different parts of the game.
So what? It's just like tons of, hoping to, they just don't want to commit to it, chat. They don't want to commit to it because they don't know how many, whatchamacallit. That's what I think that also is directly referring to, chat, what they said earlier about they actually want to have more content than the roadmap, but they aren't sure, so they didn't put it on it, right? And then he started saying events. We want to have as many events as possible, preferably like every season, but we aren't sure yet. Like, I think that's what he's referring to in his previous question earlier of, we want to have events all the time, but we haven't figured out how many we can fit and those will just be added randomly, and we don't put them on the roadmap because we don't want to give people stuff that we can't possibly guarantee. That's all. Reconcile the... Oh, God, dude. Not wrong with this question.
I don't want to speak to people and tell them how they ought to feel, you know, or how they ought to react to things just in society in general. I can say that the Overwatch team really loves our game. And we pour every day creative energy and passion into this game. And we just hope that players can see that when they play it and that it resonates with them. We always say that Overwatch is a future worth fighting for, or that the world could use more heroes. And as much as we can, we try to instill those values in our own team, this bright, aspirational future. But at the same time, I can't say that that is everything that our team culture is. It is not appropriate for me to speak to everybody else on the team and what their experience is. All I can say is that as a leader on the team and as someone that works with a lot of the other leaders on our team, that we do try to instill these values across the team. It is something incredibly important to us as a development team to listen to and to create space, not just for our teammates and our coworkers, but for our community and for our players.
I think that was the best response I could hope for that question. All right, what? That was it. Holy shit. It's not going to get better than that? Yeah. He didn't even answer it? Well, no, I mean, like, what he's trying to say is he doesn't want to speak for other people's experiences because he's a leader on the team and he's not going to talk for other people. That's what he's basically trying to say. He did just answer it straight up. Max, thank you for 50 months. There are more questions in the written interviews that were not in the video. Okay. And this thing? Are you sure? Because I feel like if it was a big question or a big answer, it would be in here. This looks like a full transcript. Like you're asking for the first roadmap. How long have you planned? You're asking for deep dark secrets of Overwatch development. Like we got to see him like laugh a little bit about that stuff, but I think for the most part, all the big stuff is in it. There is the PvE stuff here, right? This is the exact response we saw. How is PvE going to work? Wait, was that not? I don't remember this question being in there. I remember this being in there. Right? How is PvE going to work now? PvE for Overwatch 2 is still what we have always envisioned for the game. There is a campaign, a AAA campaign with a linear story that we're going to tell, and there is also a highly replayable mode with hero progression. But rather than keeping those until they're all finished at the same time and releasing in a box, we're putting them as part of our seasonal cadence. It's the same thing. That's the same lines, but they did reconfirm that there is still hero progression and that they're maintaining this. He's just trying to say it's the same thing. Overwatch is still of what we've always envisioned. There is a campaign, a highly replayable hero progression mode. Okay. Drip feed story. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's actually what that is, right? Like, a drip feed story, to be fair, doesn't have to be bad. Like, just go look at Destiny 2's story this season. It's actually really fucking well done. But also, there have been lots of times in the seasonal model for Destiny where it's been kind of dog shit over the years, where they have bad seasons, and then they've kind of gotten a good, like, rhythm going now, and it's actually pretty good consistently. But it'll be interesting. So we have, so then, okay, so you have, to sum it up, right? does this, it still sounds like they're doing it though. What I mean doing it as in they're not backing down. They're saying we are going to do this. And this is a full linear story campaign, and they're just going to drop it in a seasonal model instead of having it in a box. Okay. Does that also imply that all this shit is free to play, by the way? Doesn't that sort of inherently imply that, I guess? They aren't directly saying it, but like in a seasonal cadence, I guess they could tie it to like a battle pass. Instead of it being a box, maybe it'll be part of the battle pass where like if you buy into the battle pass, you get PV that season. Maybe that's how they would do it. They haven't actually said anything one way or another. It could be free. I can't see it being free. I just can't see it, because even the original plan for Overwatch 2 was PvE was paid, PvP was free, right? And now PvP is fully free, even if you've never played it, right? So I would imagine it's going to be season pass related. That's how I would imagine. But then it would take so much money to get through the story, unless they do bundles, right? Maybe, and you could do part of like the seasonal pass, or like maybe, I hope they say it's not a box, but like, how does a seasonal cadence work if later I come in late into the game and I want to play through that campaign? You know, there's like a lot of really base questions that have to be answered that I have no idea how they're going to do it. And I have to actually just wait and see. And it is a lot of money at the end of the day, no matter what, one way or another. Like, live service games are a ton of money. There is like Destiny, for example, they do seasonal pass and expansions, right? That's kind of, I can't imagine they would do that for Overwatch in the future. It's kind of just a question mark. We don't know how they're going to do it. So the other part is still, though, there is a campaign and a highly replayable mode with hero progression. This is still the line that is very spooky. And the reason it's spooky is because the original vision for Overwatch 2 felt like a full live service PvE game. Now, you still are saying that you want the campaign and this highly replayable hero progression, which is kind of still saying, like, I'm just gonna have to wait and see. It really doesn't feel like they're backing down. They still want to actually have a live service PvE game, at least a little bit, right? It's kind of like both. It's so weird. It's still in there, Copium. I don't know if it's Copium or not, but I don't know what exactly they're going to do, and they aren't going to talk about it. They're just going to ignore it until it's like a year or two, or wherever, until it comes out. They talk about talents progression. The next question. One of the major differentiators is the whole item system of the talent system. Is there any consideration between putting that stuff in PvP? Wait, was it just me, or none of these questions in the video? Some of the talents are made for PV are pretty cool. Tracer can practically stop time. It's amazing. Things that don't work in PvP. I don't know if we've talked about it much. The original game, we had a talent system, and one of the problems with it was always very difficult to know what type of hero you're about to face off with. Is this the Reaper that can heal himself? You need to know in our game, because it's so fast paced, exactly what you're facing off with any time. So I don't think it's appropriate to bring talents into PvP. But it doesn't mean there couldn't be some other type of game mode we're utilizing them in. Oh, so like the arcade mode. Arcade. Okay, that's okay. I understand what he's saying. That's cool. Basically, they would probably do some like fun stuff, but they won't put it into the core game. How does progression work on PvE? Progression on PvE is tied to the hero, and as you level a hero, the heroes get more talents and some of the other equipment. Oh, that's the first time they've confirmed that. But anyway, that they could use to become even more powerful. Other than that, I think it's far enough out that we'll talk about it more in the future when we get closer to launch. Yeah, that line, other equipment, is very funny because we know that there's multiple progression systems, and I think that's the first time they've ever actually confirmed some of their main progression systems. They literally say some of the other equipment, aka gear, right? Does this not just directly, they've never used the word equipment, so I'm just going to assume there's gear that you probably grind for. And it doesn't have to be necessarily gear in the same way that Destiny grinds guns. It could be gear as in like literally like a stat stick, like World of Warcraft, for example. Right? And I think of it as MMOs in general. Most people don't give a fuck about their gear. You know what I mean? It's just the number goes up. They care about the look of it, but it doesn't change your gameplay necessarily. The exception of that being like WoW trinkets to some extent. But yeah, we knew PV already had items. Not in this way. So for reference, old PvE equipment that we knew, chat, was a mission to mission roguelike basis. This is saying progression is equipment that you use to become more powerful. That is meta progression. That is not mission by mission as it was in BlizzCon 2019. That is very different. And so anyway, that's all I'm saying is, you know, they are still maintaining their PV farm, right? This is still... I am like scrounging for every drop of potential info here. Just it just sounds like what they are essentially trying to say in all these interviews is it's a complete experience, still what we've always envisioned for the game. Talents, leveling, and you get equipment. That's basically describing the foundation of a PvE live service game. And they're still going to try and pull it off in a seasonal cadence in like a year. We'll see if they pull it off. Because the cynical take I think that most people have is, okay, you guys are trying to build this PvP live service game. What this is going to end up being is like Archives 2.0. It's going to be kind of fancy and a nice story, but it's not going to be nearly the same scope or depth as what you guys were originally planning, because otherwise you would have just kept full speed ahead into PvE. We'll see. I think it's just going to end up being, and I think I would actually still love this and play it. All of this actually, by the way, chat, just sounds like Vermintide. It really just sounds very similar to Vermintide. You have a ton of different enemies. Lots of it. It's kind of like a horde shooter, right? You're running around. You level characters. You get gear for those characters. You have different talents for those characters. It sounds very, very like similar to games of that style. Because Vermintide, for those who don't know, is like, well, I mean, it's very unique, but it's, you can kind of look at it as like Left 4 Dead with progression, where you leveled up characters and you had different subclasses and you had different talents, and then you ended up having items, right? There's a lot of games that do that similar style. Deep Rock Galactic's another one, I think, but DRG is also, well, yeah, I'd say DRG to some extent. Back 4 Blood was kind of like it, yeah. Borderlands, no, Borderlands is very different. And Borderlands is very, very different. But what I'm trying to say is that's what kind of sounds like Overwatch 2 was supposed to be, was to go all in on that side of the game. And instead they turned around the boat and they said, wait, fuck, we're going to abandon our core player base for the next 3 years to do this. So they turned the boat around and now they're doing PvP, but now there's this big question mark. Well, where does this leftover PV stuff go? And they're adamant in these interviews. They're very clear. They say it is a complete experience. It is still what we've always envisioned. There is still a AAA campaign with a linear story, and there is still a highly replayable mode with hero progression where you have level characters, you gain more talents, and you gain equipment. That's what they're saying. We'll see. We'll see if they back it up, right? Because it can very easily turn into Archives 2.0, where you just launch a campaign and the replayability is kind of boring, and that's it. Which, that wouldn't be bad either. The reason it would only be bad is because we've built up this expectation of how many years they've put into the game behind the scenes, right? For example, if Overwatch 2.5 years ago came out and said, guys, Overwatch 2 is Overwatch 1, but we just removed all the shields, all the CC, and it's 5v5 so you can solo carry more, and they just did that, people would have fucking loved it. But instead, 2.5 years later, you turn around and you go, wait, you only have 3 characters in 3 years and that's all you did? Wait, what were you guys doing? And it's, well, you guys were all working on this stuff. And that's like the big question mark. So it makes people, you know, they're just not as happy. That's just because it just can't be. Sounds good on paper. They have to deliver. Yeah, exactly. Now the big question for the future of the game is not anything. I mean, this is all stuff I pay attention to big time. But when it comes to the short term, chat, Overwatch is looking more positive than it has in a very long time. Just the idea of that they're actually updating content constantly. They're actually prioritizing the PvP player base, and they're actually doing something. Yeah, exactly. They're actually doing something. And so now the question is, will the content, because some people have a lot of doubts that they're going to be able to release that content. I have more faith in their ability to release the content. I have questions about the quality. And the quality, I don't mean in polish or how good it is to play. What I mean is, can they consistently release characters for Overwatch 2 and not turn it into Overwatch 1 with tons of shields and tons of heal spam and cooldown centric gameplay? That's like the big question for me over the years. Not necessarily can they do it. It's can they do it and do it well? So we'll see. How much you want to bet content will be delayed right after release? Of course. No, that makes total sense. For a live service game, like, you can sit there and get angry that they've probably are sitting on 2 or 3 characters, like, mostly finished, right? But at the end of the day, developer logistics, when it comes to a live service PvE or PvP game, Apex is working like 5 seasons ahead. Valorant is probably the same way. You have to have a big runway of time in order to, like, keep up. It's the only way. And so you can get mad that they're only launching with 3 characters, but the question is, would you rather them delay another 6 months for another 2 characters on launch, or maybe another year for another 3 characters, right? Yes. They said no, right? They said, and he said in this interview, we think it's the right thing to do for our community. We think it's the right thing to do for the game and the right thing to do for all of our players. We want to get content to people as soon as we can, right? That is the philosophy. That's the difference now in the philosophy of the Overwatch dev team. They want to just get you shit. They don't want to sit there and be like, guys, we've already been working here for 2.5 years. Maybe we delay another year. They'd be like, fuck that. Just get something out there and then work on it and just make it good. And no matter what, there's no, like, easy decision to make. So anyway, remember Big Red, they were 42 months. Chaos Mage, all the subs and resubs. Thank you. Is there anything else to cover now that we've done all this massive 35-minute interview or whatever it was? Never mind, it's 25 minutes. I'm wrong. They changed the line about armor in the transcript. No, that was a different one. I assume it's not armor. It's probably health. And even if it was, it doesn't matter. You'll see it in a week and a half anyway. Yeah, overall, I would say this interview is really, really well done. I'm actually just... Honestly, I wish we got to see Aaron Keller in more of a chill environment sometimes, because he seems pretty funny, actually. Like, he just drops stuff sometimes, but you don't really get to appreciate him. Most of the time, he's very, like, corporate PR guy. Which is okay. But also, it's a bit of a whiplash when you're coming from Jeff fucking Kaplan, who would sit there and just, like, sit in front of a fucking fireplace for Christmas for 3 hours just for fun. Anyway. What else we got, boys? What else we got? Let's see. Potentially J3 Flats are playing some Apex. So maybe we can play some Apex for a few hours, have some fun. It's strange how so many ridiculed the PvE direction, and now it's like it's the main draw for loud voices. Well, I mean, I don't... Okay. I think if Overwatch went all in on PvE and they didn't turn the bus around, that would also be extremely successful for the Overwatch franchise. Overwatch franchise is super cool. It fits the MMO vibe very well. It has a very casual player base. It is honestly just really well done top to bottom, and all the developers are former WoW devs. Like, guys, we just watched an interview that's 25 minutes long with Aaron Keller, right?
This, like,
and this is the dude who made Stormwind. Okay, like, these are very old school, hardcore PvE people. So you have to respect, I think, that they have a lot of knowledge in that space, and that they're going to be pretty fucking good at it. And so I don't know. That's how I kind of look at it. Is I think that type of game would be fucking insane. Like, I would love it. It's actually, when I first heard of Overwatch 2 back then, and I heard that they were going all in on PV and all that other stuff, I assumed that that would be the future of the franchise, that they are finally going back and going all in. They'd be like, yeah, fuck it. These are MMO devs who just want to get back to building a PvE game, and they're going to make it. And I said, you know what? As somebody who actually likes PvE games in the Overwatch franchise, it sounds
Hey,
fucking cool.
Mercedes,
I'm
have
in.
you played the Metal Hellsinger demo? It's effing lit. Smile.
I have not played Metal Hellsinger. I have not. Anyway, it's time for some Apex. All I'm saying is there are many, many different ways to success, right? And I appreciate the fact that they turned around the bus and they are actively working on PvP again, but also that other direction that they could have kept going in, the all in on PvE, that I also think would have been very successful. I think either direction they could have been very successful. Because I think the Overwatch universe and the IP is big enough that it would probably do well either way.